I mean, it's a really interesting, coming as a total outsider to the industry, I'm really impressed by how many good companies there are in the industry. I mean, I know, there are some dominant players that perhaps aren't so great, whatever, but, I just, every time I go to a trade show, I'm astonished how many guys are really trying to do it right. I think, much more possibly than the industry I'm in normally.
I think what's different about the pet industry compared to others is just the level of passion a lot of people have, and I think it brings people in. I think, like myself, for example, I do this not for the money. I've always done it because I love the industry, and I think it makes you want to push the envelope a little bit further because you do love the industry. And because I love animals, I love my dogs, so it's kind of it naturally pushes me to push the envelope a little bit further all the time. And I think if you're selling something like, I don't know, copy paper or even standard ice cream, you maybe wouldn't necessarily have that. I mean, if you say I really, really love ice cream and that's all I care about, I mean, that sounds like a bad thing generally, to be honest.
I don't want to be negative about the ice cream business. I was just sort of laughing though that I was at a trade show, not a trade show, I was at a consumer fair last month, and there was a company selling ice cream next to us, and it said genuine Italian gelato, and I went up to them and said, "Oh God, that's really interesting. We do gelato too. And where do you get it from?" And it was just a sort of bog standard local, sort of mass produced ice cream. And I'm like, well, you can't just say, Italian gelato and then sell a mass-produced ice cream. But I don't know. We live in a party which is so difficult, because then for us who are trying to do something genuine, it's like, well, how do we differentiate ourselves? Like what? And so it becomes, that sort of thing is quite frustrating, I think. And I don't know. I've been really impressed by the dog industry, the pet industry so far. Seems,
because I guess the other thing as well, like how you differentiate yourself, is you make your own products. You don't like white label as well, which is a big thing, because obviously within every industry now, white labeling has become massive. Have you ever white labeled, or is it always?
So when we started, we didn't have the capacity to make it. We were making so much of our own ice cream, we just didn't have the capacity to do Doggy Doggy Yum Yum. So we white labeled it to a manufacturer, and I think it's a personal choice. And I know quite a few of the guests you've had on your podcast make their have outsourced the manufacturing, and I respect that. But for us, it left Annie and me so uncomfortable as to like what was really, how much control did we have? Everything from the quality of the ingredients to the amount that was going in to how it was being stored, because obviously ice cream is incredibly it does need to remain very firmly in the cold chain, but even more than because ice cream melts at about -8, -9, you've got that cold chain's got to be really rigorously managed. And then often the distributor will say, right, we need the product, the pallet delivered between 11 and 12 on a Tuesday or something. And if we're in control of the whole process, then that's something we can do. If somebody else is involved with the process, it's just that much more difficult to, I don't know, have the confidence. I just quite like to be able to look people in the eye and be like, yeah, we made this, and if it's not right, come to me and we'll sort it out. And there's nobody else that can be sort of blamed in that process. It's a completely direct relationship, and that's much more how I like. I think because we are a high quality ice cream maker anyway, it didn't make sense for us to have it outsourced. So we've had it in-house now for a year, and it just works. I'm just so much more comfortable with it as a product, and it's why we're now going to add some other flavors and things like that, because we can sort of spin out from that.
It's interesting because I'm a bit of an obsessive, and I've outsourced work over the years, and in terms of product production, even when you outsource, I had a product, I had my own molds, and I outsourced it to a plastic manufacturer. They produce it, and then it never comes back right. You always get mistakes and you get like problems, and you're just like, you feel like if I did this myself, like I could feel easier about taking responsibility for this, you know, because like we're very aware that like a big part of what we do is about being excellent from end to end. The product has to be excellent, but everything about the whole service has to be excellent as well, especially when we're commanding premiums. And I think it's always difficult when you outsource part of your production cycle to somebody else, and then they don't take the same care that you would yourself. So, you know, I totally get like the stress behind white labeling something, and why if you can do it yourself, you can always feel much happier about it.
We would get into that sort of position where Pedigree distribute our product for us, and you know, Pedigree would put in a lovely big order, and it would be like, yay, brilliant, and you know, call up the white label guys, go, could you ship this by, you know, on this date? And they'd be like, well, no, we haven't made it. He said, but I thought you had made it. You told us you had 3 pallets. Oh no, it was only 1. And suddenly you're like, well, no, we're going to let our big customer down. And you know, life's too short to have that level of stress of you know, arguing and then apologizing and everything. You know, we just, you know, have it here. We've got a nice big frozen container that only has Doggy Doggy in it, and then, you know, we just ship it out when we need, and it's just nice, straightforward. No.
But also, you know what your own limits and capacities are as well. I think like when you're using third parties for anything, you kind of feel in your own head that there's like this limitless sort of like bandwidth you can tap into sometimes. But then when you actually, and you know what it's like, you know what salesmen are like. Salesmen will always tell you that limitless bandwidth is always there for you. But then when you actually try and tap into it, it's a very different prospect. When you actually have the order in your hand, you're like, yeah, 3 pallets, please. And they're like, oh, that could take a month. You know, it's like, and you're like, I need it in a week, you know, but no.
It's them also saying, oh, we can't get hold of the ingredient. And I'm like, well, why didn't you bloody tell me? Because I can get hold of it. Like, tell me. You know, and yeah, I mean, we keep a lot of ingredients here on site. We've got a whole sort of warehouse now full of ingredients just to keep all those stress levels down, so that, you know, if we do need to manufacture quickly, we've got the key ingredients ready to go. So there's none of that sort of letting the customer down.